Lesson 1. What is art? Introduction and Assumptions. Presental. Michael Askini. Art is something that is been and really around us. Some people may deny having to do with arts, but it's indisputable that life presents us with forms of and opportunities for communing with arts. Art is a broad and diverse field that encompasses many different forms and mediums. It is something that has been around for thousands of years and has played an important role in human culture and society. While some people may not consider themselves to be artists or may not engage with art in a traditional sense, it is still present in our lives in many ways. For example, people may enjoy listening to music, watching movies, or visiting museums and galleries. They may also appreciate the beauty of nature, the design of the buildings, or the visual appeal of everything. Furthermore, art is not just limited to traditional forms, such as paintings, sculptures, and music. It can also take the form of digital media, performance art, street art, and other contemporary forms. In totality, art is an integral part of human life and provide a way for people to express themselves, connect with others, and explore the world around them. Let's watch this video.
Art. When we hear that word, some of our minds jump to museums or framed paintings, and in that context, some people think, nah, I'm not a big fan of art, I just don't get it. Or they think of art as something that's just for intellectuals or artsy people. But really, art is for anyone who wants to experience it, and it's often in more places than we might realize. Songs you like, movies you watch, poems, theater, even a quilt that your grandmother made. All of that and more is art. So you might be wondering, well, then what is art? How do I define it? Well, that's tough. Art's been around for thousands of years, and through the ages it's evolved in a number of different ways. And the reasons for creating it vary from person to person depending on any number of factors. So defining art is pretty tricky, and it's something that's been debated throughout history. There just isn't one agreed upon definition. However, many believe that art is anything that stirs emotion in you. Now, the emotions that get stirred up depend entirely on your own history, your story, everything that comes together to make up who you are. And because of this, 3 different people can experience the same piece of art and have wildly different reactions to it. One person might think it's the most beautiful thing they've ever seen, the second person might hate it, and the third might not feel much of anything at all. And none of them would be wrong. Everyone's entitled to their own preferences and feelings when it comes to art. You know, the way you feel about your favorite song could be the same way that someone else feels about their favorite sculpture. And even though you might not like that sculpture, it can be valuable to consider why that person enjoys it so much. You may learn something about them and maybe even yourself. The term art is really just a label. Over the years, a lot of people have tried to classify what it is or what it isn't, but that's not really what art is about. It's about your personal experience with it and the meaning that you draw from it. Everyone reacts to art differently and has the potential to grow and learn from it. It gives us the opportunity to tell stories, record history, and tap into our emotions in a way that few other things can.
Why study the humanity? For as long as man existed in this planet, he has cultivated the land, altered the conditions of flora and fauna in order to survive. Alongside these necessities, man also marked his place in the world through his works, made by his bare hands. Human constructed infrastructures that tended to his needs, like his house. Man sharpened swords and spears, employed for fire in order to melt gold. The word art comes from the ancient Latin ars, which means a craft or specialized form of skill, like carpentry or smithing or surgery. Art then suggested the capacity to produce an intended result from carefully planned steps or method. For example, when a man marks or when a man wants to build a house, he plans meticulously to get to what the prototype promises and executes the steps to produce the said structure. Then, he is engaged in art. The ancient world did not have any conceived notion of arts in the same way that we do now. To them, art only meant using bare hands to produce something that will be useful to one's day-to-day life. In medieval Latin, ars came to mean something different. It meant any special form of book learning, such as grammar or logic, magic or astrology. It was only during the Renaissance period that the word reacquired a meaning that was inherent in its ancient form of craft. Early Renaissance artists saw their activities merely a craftsmanship, devoid a whole lot of intonations that are attached to the word now. It was during the 17th century when the problem and idea of aesthetics, the study of beauty, began to unfold distinctively from the notion of technical workmanship, which was the original conception of the word art or art. It was finally in the 18th century when the word has evolved to distinguish between the fine arts and the useful arts. The fine arts would come to mean not delicate or highly skilled arts, but beautiful arts. This is something more akin to what is now considered art. Originally, fine arts referred to the delicate or highly skilled arts such as painting, sculpture, and architecture. These arts were often considered to be of a higher caliber than other forms of art and were typically associated with wealth and social status. However, over time, the term fine arts has come to mean beautiful arts. More broadly, the broader definition includes a wider range of art forms, such as music, dance, and theater, that are considered to be aesthetically pleasing or emotionally moving. Today, the term fine arts is often used to refer to the traditional arts such as painting, sculpture, and architecture, as well as the newer forms of art that are included under the broader definition. The humanities constitute of the oldest and most important means of expression developed by man. Human history has witnessed how man evolved not just physically but also culturally, from cave painters to men of exquisite paintbrush users of the present. Even if one goes back to the time before written records of human civilization has appeared, we can find cases of man's attempts of not just crafting tools to live and survive, but also expressing his feelings and thoughts. The arts have played a vital role in human expression and communication. expression and communication throughout history. From ancient cave paintings to modern day forms and music, the arts have provided a way for humans to express themselves and connect with others. The galloping wild boar found in the cave of Altamira, Spain is one such example. In 1879, a Spaniard and his daughter were exploring a cave when they saw pictures of wild boar, hind, and bison.
This is Altamira in northern Spain. This limestone plateau area has many natural caves. This is the Museum of Altamira. It was built right next to the cave, where the original cave paintings dating back to the Paleolithic era were discovered. The original cave has been closed to preserve its archaeologically important remains. In its place, a precise replica has been recreated inside this museum. Items depicting the way of life during Paleolithic times can be seen here. In the deepest part of the cave, there's a space covered in an array of prehistoric paintings of wild animals. These figures were painted between 22,000 and 13,000 years ago. Deer, buffalo, and horses were vividly depicted with intricate shadings. These paintings were discovered by a girl named Maria Sanz de Sautola in 1879. She came here with her father, who was an amateur archaeologist. He recognized that these paintings were from the Paleolithic period, and he wrote about this cave to an archaeological society. However, nobody took him seriously, and the discovery was disregarded. It was only at the beginning of the 20th century after his death when these paintings were finally confirmed as Paleolithic paintings. The paintings are very realistic, but they also cleverly used the contours of the rock surface to produce a three-dimensional image. The most frequently painted animal here was the buffalo. There are also some unknown symbols painted in this cave. From three-dimensional animal paintings to strange symbols, Altamira Cave was one of the places where the very first human art was made.
According to experts, these paintings were purported to belong to Upper Paleolithic age, several thousands of years before the current era. Prehistoric men, with their crude instrument, already showcased and manifested earliest attempts at recording man's interest, preoccupation, and thoughts. Human persons have long been exercising what it meant to be a human, long before he was even aware of his being one. The humanities stand tall in bearing witness to this magnificent phenomenon. Any human person then is tasked to participate, if not, totally partake in this long tradition of humanizing himself. Being a part of this long tradition of humanizing oneself means taking an active role in exploring our cultural and intellectual and spiritual roots. It involves engaging with the great works of the past, as well as those of our contemporaries, and reflecting on the ideas and values that have shaped our culture. In doing so, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in our world, and perhaps even find a sense of purpose and meaning in our lives. By participating in the humanities, we can enrich our lives and become more well-rounded, compassionate, and wise individuals. So my dear classmates, I encourage you to take up the challenge of humanizing yourself and exploring the rich traditions of the humanities. May you find joy, insight, and fulfillment in this pursuit. Thank you.